Hello and good evening, and welcome to the Thursday edition of The Shed. Hashtag Irish Blues Mafia with me, Trevor. You're very welcome along. We're having beautiful weather here in Ireland at the minute. The last 3 or 4 days has been super and may continue for another while. As you can see, there's a bit of redness around the face, so the sun has been out. And happy we are. You're very welcome along to the show. So tonight's show, I've had the show on Tuesday night where I did a review of Game Week 2. I've also did a special guest edition with Jaguars fans from the first and Teal, Danica and Shayla on Wednesday night. Now I did that on Tuesday, but we'll put it up on Wednesday. And now tonight I'm going to do the game week 3 preview and picks. Who do I think is going to win? Um, so there's a lot of interesting games on this weekend. There's one or two that I've been really scratching my head and wondering which way to go and so on. That's the joys of it. But I'm going to start with tonight's game. It's the New England Patriots at the New York Jets. Now, the Patriots are 1-1 and the Jets are 1-1. And apparently, what the tabloids and the American media has been saying, there is fierce pressure in New York that if they lose this, 1-2 might not be good enough with everything and the expectations. Now, the Patriots beat the Bengals very well in game week 1. Jacoby Brissett and co really dominated. They were kind of unlucky against the Seahawks in game week 2, but they didn't get it done. Whereas the Jets were blown out of it really by the 49ers in game week 1. And in game week 2, they did beat the Titans, but they had Will Levis to help them. So Aaron Rodgers looked okay in both games, and you know his running backs did most of the work in the second game and got them the touchdowns. But tonight, I think with the pressure on them and they are a team that's expected to deliver, I am going to go for the New York Jets against the New England Patriots. I don't know will there be a lot in it. The Patriots defense is very good, but it's how the Jets offense clicks, if it clicks. Then we go to Sunday's games. So the first game that's on the early rounds is the Chicago Bears at the Indianapolis Colts. Now these are two teams that haven't hit the heights, even though the Bears are 1-1 and the Colts are not and two. The first game against the Texans, the Colts and Anthony Richardson and Co looked awesome. I thought they'd win last weekend and beat the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau, but the Packers and Malik Willis did the job. Whereas the Bears, Will Levis again, for all Will, he's been mentioned twice, not even in his one game. He basically gave the Bears the win the first day, and Caleb Williams was overawed by the Texans defense in the second day. But Bears are 1-1, and they have a rookie quarterback. The Colts are 0-2, and they have to win. And I think that with them being at home, I'm going to go for the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. Andy Richardson and Pittman and Co should do the job. The next game is on the agenda is a real cracker by the sounds of it. Is the New York Giants at the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Giants are under fierce pressure no more than other people in New York. It seems to be the city with the pressure on. And Brian Dabo will have to get his offense running and running right, and Daniel Jones will have to come and click. But on the other side, the Browns, they played a lot better last week. Their offense isn't going. Deshaun Watson and co aren't really clicking yet, but they did get the win against the Jaguars last weekend. Where the Giants, I don't know, they were kind of thereabouts against the Commanders. Two teams kind of similar, but the Commanders got the win. But they never looked like setting the world alight. Now, Malik Neighbors did have a very good game, and Daniel Jones did seem to click with him well. Because it's in Cleveland and because we don't know what kind of New York Giants is going to turn up, let alone what jersey, I'm going to go for the Cleveland Browns. Our next game then is the Philadelphia Eagles at the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles won in Brazil in game week 1 and then blew it in game week 2. There's already huge pressure on Nick Sirianni, Eagles head coach, and about the play calls last weekend. Now, I'm an Irish footballer, and I'm not been smart. I'm was never high high about it or made it big time or anything like that. But if ball was passed to me the way the ball was passed to Saquon Barkley. You catch the ball. It's nobody's fault. It's your own if you don't catch the ball. There's no coach's fault. There's no kicker's fault. There's no thrower's fault. That ball was passed perfect. It was chest high, shoulder high. It was out from his body. He just had to reach out, pluck it. No one near him, and that was it. Job done. He didn't. It happens. These things do happen, but you don't go blaming the coach for the call or whatever. But it seems they're going over the top. They're looking for a reason to get Nick Sirianni out. Um, whether it's right or wrong, time will tell. But the Eagles are under awful pressure. Whereas the Saints went into Dallas, game week one, they blew out the Panthers. Game week two, they went into Dallas and they kicked the living daylights out of them. Kamara and Olave and Derek Carr and co are just absolutely on fire. Like 3-0 is huge for the Saints, where 1-2 is also huge in a bad way for the Eagles. But I'm going to go for the Saints this weekend. They're at home and they're playing very well, and I don't see things changing. The next game then is the Houston Texans at the Minnesota Vikings. The Houston Texans are 2-0. The Minnesota Vikings are 2-0. The Houston Texans had a scrappy win against the Bears last weekend, whereas the Minnesota Vikings had a very comfortable kind of a win against the San Francisco 49ers. And Sam Darnold did look the piece. But this week is the test for Sam Darnold because he did it one week. Now, can he do it again this week against a team that's one of the favourites to go long in the playoffs? And CJ Stroud has already proven that. The Texans do look good. Um, I'm just going to fancy the Texans this weekend. I just think they have too much for the Vikings. But if Sam Darnold proves me wrong, then people are going to have to stand up and go, yeah, Sam Darnold, he is a serious player. We're going to be talking about another quarterback in a few minutes, but he's turned his life around from being a top pick, not happening for him, going around the place, then learning last year at San Francisco. And if he gets it right this weekend against the Texans, that's two huge scabs. Then you have to look at Sam Darnold and go, yep, the Vikings are serious. The next game then is the Denver Broncos or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bo Nix is struggling. The Broncos aren't playing great, whereas the Buccaneers they didn't set the world alight against the Lions, but more importantly, they got the win against the Lions. Um, Baker Mayfield and Godwin or Goodwin, I don't know which way you pronounce it over there, and Evans, they're connecting, they're working, they're doing good in the offense, and their defense is they held a very good Detroit Lions last week to a very low score. So for that, I'm going to go for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are at home, and I think they should be 3-0, and the Broncos will be 0-3. Now, here comes one of the head scratchers. It's the Los Angeles Chargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, why is it a head scratcher? Because Jim Harbaugh is, very hard to read. His teams so far has been dogged, but whereas the New Orleans Saints blew the Carolina Panthers away first week, his team went to Carolina and got a very good win, but didn't go and set the world alight. Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-0. But my God, they've been two absolute yawn fests when it comes to scores. Yes, the defense has been very good, and Justin Fields hasn't made many mistakes, but their points scoring is very low. This could be a game where it's to and fro, and it's one for me that I find very hard to call. But I just think Jim Harbaugh has a goal at the minute, and even though Mike Tomlin's team will be very hard to beat, I don't think they have enough offensively to compete with Justin Herbert and co. So I'm going to go for the Los Angeles Chargers. Our next game then is the Carolina Panthers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, there's been huge news this week where Andy Dalton has been put in as the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, and they've taken out the number one pick, Bryce Young. And people are saying Bryce Young will never play for the Panthers again because it's such a big statement that it's they can't put him back in. They've taken out the number one pick, and what they gave up for Bryce Young has been absolutely huge. Whereas the Las Vegas Raiders went into Baltimore last weekend and deservedly won 26-23. Max Crosby was excellent. Gardner Minshew and Devontae Adams connected very well. And as the game went on, they looked to be the better team and the only team that's going to pull further away from Baltimore. So for this, because the Panthers don't look anything like a real team at the minute. I'm going for the Raiders. I just think they have too much. Then our next game is another one that's oh no, sorry, there's one before it. The Green Bay Packers at the Tennessee Titans. So it's Malik Willis versus Will Levis. Malik Willis went and did had a brilliant game the week before against the Colts, and for me it was a shock that it was Jordan Love out that he came in, slotted in so easy, and the team looked smooth. We're going into the Tennessee Titans. Now the Tennessee Titans are 0-2, and to be honest, if Will Levis didn't make the mistakes he did, the Tennessee Titans would be 2-0. They had Chicago bet, and at the time he made a second big mistake against the Jets. They had the Jets bet. They were in total control. And in American football, for those who aren't regular watchers, it's momentum, and one play can be a momentum changer and just turn things around. And they were the two big momentum changers. Will Will Levis learn from his mistakes from the last 2 weeks? I should hope so. The Green Bay Packers, they were one of my dark horses, but Jordan Love missing is huge. Can Malik Willis go and do it again this week and lead his team to another victory? I'm not sure. I just can't. Well, I could be wrong, but I can't see Will Levis making three mistakes or three bad game weeks in a row. Because if they do, you're looking at another Bryce Young, and then you're looking at another guy coming out. And the Titans have invested a lot in him. So this week, I'm going to go for the Tennessee Titans. Then, as I was saying, this is another huge scratcher, head scratcher. So you have the Detroit Lions going to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, before the year started, this was a nailed-on Detroit win. But the first half against the Bills in week one, the Cardinals were hot. The whole game against the Rams, the Cardinals were hot. Kyler Murray is becoming the quarterback everybody wanted him to be. And now he's got Marvin Harrison Jr. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was absolutely amazing last weekend. They're at home. The Detroit Lions have come off a bad loss against the Buccaneers in their own stadium. They're going to Arizona. Dan Campbell and Jared Goff and Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown and and Aidan Hutchinson will be looking for a reaction. It's a very, very hard one to call. But momentum is what I'm on about. A few minutes ago is a big thing. And the way Kyler Murray and his offense have been playing, bar the second half against the Bills, they've been on fire. So I'm going to go for the Arizona Cardinals against the Detroit Lions this weekend. Then we have the Miami Dolphins at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Tua Tagovailoa is out for the next 4 to 6 weeks, apparently, on the concussion protocol or injury reserve, as they call it. There's a question mark, will he come back or not? The Miami Dolphins team will be a hugely different team without him because everything was going through Tua, and yes, they weren't setting the world alight, but he's a huge loss. The Seattle Seahawks had a good win last weekend in New England. They're 2-0. Geno Smith is, leading. Metcalf is there. Um, they're playing well. They're at home. I just think Miami now could be going to go through a rough phase until Tua comes back, if he comes back, and if not, their season then could be just a hit and miss. Even with all the weapons they have taken out of quarterback, their number one quarterback is huge. So for that, I'm going to go for the Seattle Seahawks. Then we have the San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this could be a huge, huge game in terms of where these teams finish at the end of the season and where they're in the playoffs. 49ers were surprisingly better at Minnesota last weekend. They're without Deebo Samuel this weekend. They're without Christian McCaffrey this weekend. They're going to be without McCaffrey for another few weeks, and Deebo is another couple of weeks as well, which is a huge loss. Brock Purdy looked kind of average last weekend, which was the first time I ever seen him look kind of average. But he is human, and he might just have an off weekend. On the other side of the ball, the Rams are without Puka Nacua and Cooper Cup. They're two wide receivers. Matthew Stafford will, have to lead the team without them, and they got well bet last weekend in Arizona. So Sean McVay has a lot of work for doing. Um, and because of that, I think the 49ers, even without the two boys, still have too much for the Los Angeles Rams. So I'm going for the San Francisco 49ers. Then we're going into another game that's a toss of a coin, because not for a good reason, but both teams are under severe pressure. It's the AFC runners-up last year, the Baltimore Ravens, with MVP Lamar Jackson from last year, against the highest-paid quarterback in football, Dak Prescott, and the Dallas Cowboys. Um, the Dallas Cowboys were soundly beaten at home last weekend against the New Orleans Saints. The Baltimore Ravens were correctly beaten by the Las Vegas Raiders in their home ground last weekend too. The Ravens are 0-2, and the Cowboys are 1-1. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry can't go 0-3. Not it, it, Teams can in different divisions, but not in their division. If they go 0-3, they're as good as out, because you have Pittsburgh, you have Cincinnati who are turning the corner, and the Cleveland Browns are hit and miss. So if they hit, they can hit. So 0-3 is a no-go for the Baltimore Ravens. Whereas the Cowboys, while Jerry's World is the same circus every year, they turn up for a game, play very well, and then all of a sudden that's over. They get hammered out the gate. And teams know how to play against them, and their defense let them down against the run last week. And the Ravens have two awesome runners in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to pile everything on them this weekend. So it's going to be more run game. And because of that, I'm going to go for the Baltimore Ravens. Break their duck. Now we come to the Super Bowl champions of the last 2 years, Kansas City Chiefs at the Atlanta Falcons. Again, a few weeks ago, I would have put this as a Chiefs win. And 2 weeks ago, the Steelers went in there to Atlanta and deservedly beat them. But last weekend, Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons showed a lot of heart. And they went up the field with less than 2 minutes to go against the Eagles. No timeouts. Needed 7 points to win the game, and they got them. And even left the Eagles with 30 seconds or so to go down again and block them. So, you know, they're starting to improve. And again, they're one of my dark horses. The Kansas City Chiefs have won 2 games. They won a very tight game against Cincinnati last weekend. It was a last kick field goal that won it for them. And again, it was a question mark. Now, it was correct, but it was a questionable flag that saved them to get them up the field to get the field goal. And the weekend before, they beat the Ravens, but the Ravens were left behind them in a lot of people's eyes. So they are winning. Will they go 3-0 and the Falcons go 1-2? For me, I don't think so. And I'm going to go for the Atlanta Falcons to beat the Chiefs this weekend. Now we come to our game. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to the Buffalo Bills at Highmark Stadium. Last year, I went to see this game in London. It was at the Tottenham Stadium. And I was talking to Michael McQuaid beforehand. We did an interview. And I thought the Bills would win by 10 points. And we didn't. Now, I put it down to the Jaguars been there for 2 weeks and them settled. And the Bills traveling, I think it was the Thursday they got to London. And you can't be right. So this is the time for the Buffalo Bills to correct that game. Now, Trevor Lawrence isn't playing great. Travis St. Etienne was crossing the line and lost the ball against the Dolphins. And again, it was a play that was a momentum changer because they had that game, they were well on top, turned it around, and the Dolphins went and beat them. Um, Gabe Davis, from talking to my friends in Jacksonville during the week, isn't fit. Now, Gabe will try his best to, you know, uh, beat his former team. So you can be sure he'll be up for it. Joshua Allen Hines, or Hines Allen as they call him. He used to be just called Josh Allen last year, but he changed his name to Joshua Hines Allen. Or David Lloyd and Trayvon Walker will have to step up the defense hugely. Doug Peterson, I think, is under a bit of pressure. For us, we are doing very well. Last weekend, Josh Allen, James Cook, Kahil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, all were looking very good in the offense. Defense, Christian Brentford, Jamarcus Ingram, Von Miller, Ed Oliver, and co. were looking very good defensively. Our defense so far has been very good. Other than the first half against the Cardinals, where they tweaked at halftime, it's been very, very good. You go to Miami, you keep the Dolphins to 10 points. It's excellent. I'm going for my own team, the Bills, to win this. It's, you know, I think this Jacksonville Jaguars aren't connecting at this moment in time. I think there's issues there off the field, and I don't think it'll be easy for us, but I do think that we have enough just to push it out and for us to get the win. Then the last game is the Monday night game. It's the Washington Commanders at the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Bengals did lose last weekend. They can't afford to lose this weekend no more than um, the Ravens, because if they do, they are going to be 0-3, and there's no coming back for them in that division either. They're at home to the Commanders. Jaden Daniels played all right last weekend. The Washington offense clicked to a certain point, but didn't set the world alight. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and so are improving a small bit, but I still question Jamar Chase. This is not the Cincinnati team I thought I'd be talking about in week 3 at the start of the season. I thought to be Commanders versus Bengals. You go, oh, Bengals win by 10 plus points. Maybe they will, but I don't feel it. I think it will. I think they will win. Firstly, I'm going for the Bengals, but I don't think it'll be as easy as it should have been. I think the Commanders will put it up to them, but it'll all depend on what the atmosphere is like in the dressing room, and these contract issues are not been sorted or whatever. So there's my picks, folks. Um, I have the competition running, and the picks are coming in from other guys, and some of them are similar and some of them are different, but these are my ones. So we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to the weekend. I got some good news this week that I will share with you in a couple of weeks' time. For me, it's amazing news, but I don't want to let too much out of the bag yet. Um, and it's something that I am looking forward to very, very much. Um, I'd like to thank my guests, Danica and Shayla, for coming on during the week. And I'd like to thank you for watching. This is my third video, so I'm going to wrap it up now. I'm looking forward to the weekend's games. I'm looking forward to the Monday Night Football at Highmark Stadium. I'm going to stay up and watch it, and we're going to go and see can we go 3-0 and really, cement our place at the top of the AFC East and push on from there. But as I say, it's one game at a time, so we're looking forward to Sunday night's game. For all of you there, have a wonderful Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and until Tuesday. Take care, stay safe, stay happy, enjoy the football, and as always, go Bills.